Yo, what is going on YouTube? It is your boy GZTV back with another video. I said this in my live stream. Sorry if I'm sweaty. It's really hot in my room. We have like no air. But I am here to bring you guys my NBA. We're pretty much going to have our own GZTV NBA award show. This shouldn't take more than like 20 minutes. We're going to go through 10 different categories for the award show. Yes, it's quite a bit this year. But yeah, I got everything lined up, so I don't really have anything else to say. I'm probably not going to put anything over my face right now. I'm probably just going to edit everything in. You guys should be getting this like right before the play-in games for Wednesday night. So yeah, let's get into it. Starting with the first award, we're going to talk about most improved, and shout out to JJ Redick and the old man in the three because I kind of modeled my stuff after him and how I'm going to present it. We're going to go through some most improved candidates, and honestly, I think there's about 5 of them. Kobe White of the Chicago Bulls, Jalen Johnson of the Atlanta Hawks, Tyrese Maxey of the 76ers, Dante DiVincenzo of the Knicks, and Grayson Allen of the Suns. And I automatically knew that Tyrese Maxey wasn't going to win it for me. I know a lot of people have him winning it. But we knew he was a star. Like, even playing with James Harden, he was playing quite exceptional basketball. And yeah, Jalen Johnson, great sophomore year. And I don't really like giving the award to sophomore players. So really the major guys in contention were Kobe White, Dante DiVincenzo, and Grayson Allen. Grayson Allen, one of the best three-point shooters in the league, has really assumed an amazing role on that Suns team. Obviously Dante DiVincenzo, especially like towards the final stretch of the season, has really improved. You could even put a guy like Miles McBride up here if you wanted to, but I went with Kobe White. I think Kobe White deserves it. I mean, the jump he took, he went from a potential bust to it being a second or third option for the Bulls, probably a second option behind DeRozan. So yeah, shout out to Kobe White. He definitely deserves this award. I'm not going to go through this too much because these are some pretty simple awards. It's not awards that people really care too much about. But yeah, shout out to Kobe White. He is my sixth man of the year, or most improved. Speaking of sixth man of the year, I kind of made a mistake, but the next award category is the sixth man of the year. Sorry if I'm going a little quick. There's really like 3 definitive. There could be like 4 or 5 candidates. I was going to put Bobby Portis on here, but honestly, he's played so many starter minutes with like the absence of Giannis and Brook Lopez at times and Chris Middleton that I don't really consider him a consistent 6-man. I think he could start on a lot of teams, as do I think some of these guys as well, but still, I decided to leave him out. So my other 3, you could put him on your 6-man of the year candidate list, and I wouldn't be mad at it. But talking about our 6-man of the year, we have Malik Monk of the Sacramento Kings, Naz Reid of the Timberwolves, and Norman Powell of the Clippers. And Norman Powell is honestly like a super underrated pick. I don't see a lot of people talk about him. I've obviously seen people talk about like Bogdanovich and maybe a couple others. But I think Malik Monk has just put up so many impressive performances coming off the bench for the Kings. And obviously he could for sure start, but yeah, he comes off the bench. He plays his best off the bench. I don't know his stats when he's a starter, but every time he comes off the bench, he's going to put up a consistent 10 to 15. He'll probably put up about 15 points a game, which is something that not a lot of 6-men in the NBA can do. So for that reason, my 6th man of the year is Malik Monk. He's been a great player. He's been kind of on the rise around the league. So yeah, let's move on. Next, our third award category, we are going to get straight into Defensive Player of the Year, and I have, again, 3 definitive candidates for this. This might look a little different than some people's. Not a lot of people have Anthony Davis on theirs, but I do. He's just such an impactful defender. He definitely has some odds somewhere of winning this award, but I have Anthony Davis of the Los Angeles Lakers, obviously. Rookie Victor Wembanyama of the San Antonio Spurs, and I have Rudy Gobert of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Obviously, I've seen people put like Bam Adebayo up here, and maybe even Shea if you wanted to, just because of how many steals he gets. But I have Anthony Davis, Victor Wembanyama, and Rudy Gobert as my definitive Defensive Player of the Year candidates. And it is just crazy, and I know this probably isn't going to happen, but we'll get to the other award that he's going to win in a second. But I have Victor Wembanyama winning this, and not a lot of people do. Not a lot of people have Victor Wembanyama winning this, and I think that is super duper surprising. Man, he has had such a good year. He's averaged 3 blocks, I think damn near 2 steals. Like, that is insane for a rookie. And people are always going to bring up the team success thing. When we're talking about defensive player of the year, and when we look at the Spurs without Wembanyama, defensively and offensively on both sides of the ball, they are significantly, very distinctively worse than when Wembanyama is on the court. I don't think you can really say that about guys like Rudy Gobert and Anthony Davis. Rudy Gobert has guys on his team like Jaden McDaniels and Karl Anthony Towns and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Anthony Edwards. They have all sorts of pretty solid, Kyle Anderson, decent defenders on their team. But when Victor Wembanyama is not on the court, I don't know what the Spurs can do defensively. He is that impactful. He is that good of a player, and for that reason, my defensive player of the year is Victor Wembanyama. So with that, we can talk about the all-defensive teams. There are 2 teams with obviously 5 players each. Let's first get into the first team. So obviously the 3 candidates for me automatically make it. I think this is positionless. I think all teams, like all rookie, all defensive, all NBA, the other 2 we will get to in a second, they are all positionless, which I really like because it's pretty much just ranking like the top 10 rookies, the top 10 defensive players, the top 15 NBA players. I really like that, so people, don't get cut off because of their position. But when we are talking about the first team all defensive, yeah, the 3 candidates are making it: Gobert, AD, and Wemby. In my other 2, the first one is going to be OG Anunoby of the New York Knicks, and my second one is going to be Alex Caruso of the Chicago Bulls. These 2 guys make play after play after play, impactful plays down the stretch. They're just such a joy to watch. It's really awesome. Like, Alex Caruso saves games for the Bulls. Obviously, the Bulls aren't that good of a team, and they didn't have that good of a season. Like 4 games under 500, I believe. But yeah, he is very impactful. Same with OG Anunoby. Ever since the Knicks picked him up, their defense as a team has progressively gotten better. Obviously, they already had guys like Josh Hart and rim protectors like Mitchell Robinson and even Isaiah Hartenstein. But when you add a guy like OG Anunoby, it just completely changes the game. And defensively, I think he is one of the major reasons that they were a 2 seed. So let's move on to the second team. Moving on to second team all defensive. I kind of mentioned Bam on the candidate list. We are definitely going to put him on our second team all defensive. And I have 2 Thunder players. There are a lot of Thunder players, honestly, that you could put on here. I put Shea and J-Dub, Jalen Williams, but you could put Chet, you could put Lou Dort on here if you wanted to. I think the Thunder were just that good of a defensive team this year. But yeah, Shea, I think, was one of the leaders in steals. This team is just, I think they damn near lead the league in steals. The amount of, when you watch the Thunder play, the amount of deflections these guys get, it is actually unreal. So yeah, shout out to the Thunder for a great year. We're going to be mentioning a bunch of their guys very soon. They have a lot of candidates on this list this year, which I never thought would happen, but they are that good of a damn basketball team. So shout out to Shea and J-Dub. Shout out to the Thunder on a great year. Moving on, I got to go with my guy, Derek White of the Boston Celtics. He definitely deserves to make a all-defensive team this year. He was absolutely incredible with the amount of deflections, the amount of smart defensive plays without fouling is super impressive. And then a guy that is super underappreciated in the league, I'm going with Jalen Suggs of the Orlando Magic. And by the way, for any of these all teams, I know I tend to snub some people, but yeah, just let me know in the comments who you thought I left out. I think my list is pretty good, but there are obviously some names out there that I'm not super aware of that you guys could definitely fill me in on. So shout out to all the players that made the defensive teams for me. Let's move on to the next category. So we're going to be getting into another all-team type thing shortly, but getting into our 5th category, we're here with the Rookie of the Year talk. And this was a really good rookie class. I mean, overall, it was just fantastic. So many good rookies, and once we get to the all-rookie team, you're going to see why pretty much every player on the all-rookie team impacted their team in some way this year. But getting into the Rookie of the Year candidates, I think there were 3 that really stood apart, stood alone from everyone else, and that is Victor Wembanyama, Chet Holmgren, and Brandon Miller. And I'm not going to shit on Chet, but the gap between Victor Wembanyama and it's not even a debate. I'm not even going to explain myself here. I think Victor Wembanyama is easily the Rookie of the Year. I mean, I'll just show my camera for a second. Look at that. That is a Rookie of the Year. That is the Defensive Player of the Year. And I know it's ridiculous for a rookie to win Defensive Player of the Year, but in this case, I genuinely believe that Victor Wembanyama deserves both of those awards this year. He had a historically great rookie year, probably top 5 all time. He has to win the award. Obviously, Chet and Brandon Miller are going to be fantastic players in the NBA, but the focus is on Wemby right now. This is going to damn near be his league here in about 4 or 5 years, so watch out, people. Let's get into the all-rookie teams. So the sixth category is the all-rookie teams, and similarly to all defensive, there's 10 players. Obviously, for all NBA, there are 15 because you're kind of representing the entire NBA, and it's more of like a broad spectrum. But just getting into the all-rookie team, we're going to first start with the first team. And again, the nominees are automatically going to make the first team. Victor Wembanyama, Brandon Miller, and Chet Holmgren are locks. Now it comes down to the next two. I'm going to tell you right now, both of the Thompson twins are definitely on here, but I'm going to put one of them on the first team and one of them on the second. I feel like if you watched basketball for a big part of the year, you should know who I'm going to put where. But we're going to put Amen Thompson on the first team. He's not like that much better than Ausar. Obviously, at the beginning of the season, it was clear that Amen was... Well, at the beginning of the year, it was clear that Ausar was better, but Amen, as the season went on, kind of figured out his role with the Houston Rockets, and he's found his spot. I mean, they're very interchangeable. If you wanted to put Ausar on the first team, that's fine, but I'm going to put Amen Thompson, and then my last spot for the first team is going to be, well, obviously Amen Thompson played for the Houston Rockets, and Wemby played for the Spurs, Brandon Miller played for the Hornets, and Chet played for the Thunder. Jaime Jaquez Jr. is going to be my last player on my first team all-rookie of the Miami Heat. The fact that you can get drafted to a team that successful and be that impactful, play that well, put up 20-point games, it is super duper impressive. So yeah, let's move on to the second team. Taking a look here at the all-rookie second team, again, both of the Thompsons are going to make it, so I'm going to say it right now. Ausar Thompson is definitely making my all-rookie second team. We have Scoot Henderson here. Scoot Henderson is a pretty controversial choice, I'm not going to lie to you, just like based on what people have been saying, his inconsistencies, his efficiency. But I think every rookie kind of has a problem efficiency-wise. I don't think that's anything new. Obviously, he got drafted to a pretty shitty situation because he could have went to the Hornets, which would have probably been better for him. Obviously, the Hornets, like looking back on it now, 100%, like obviously things could change, but they 100% made the better decision there, the right decision. Scoot Henderson got drafted to a tough spot. I mean, trying to get playing time, trying to prove yourself with guards on your team like Anthony Simons and Malcolm Brogdon and Shaedon Sharpe, like that's not easy to do. So shout out to Scoot. He played really well this season, super underrated. And then another Houston Rockets rookie. Houston Rockets had a fantastic draft class. We have Cam Whitmore. I think he's a rookie. I don't know why I had to check that. I looked on Sleeper to look at like all the rookies and their numbers. That's what I've been using for a lot of stuff. So shout out to Sleeper, all sorts of different metrics and stuff. But yeah, Cam Whitmore makes my all-rookie second team of the Rockets. And then of the Mavericks, we are going to go with Derek Lively. He started off really hot. He started his career off super hot. Kind of took a little bit of a decline as the season went on, but he is a really good rookie and definitely deserves to be here. Then, of the Utah Jazz, we have Keontae George, a super underrated rookie. He's going to be really good for a really long time. The Jazz are finding some building blocks, trying to, kind of rebuild, and to an extent, they have been pretty successful with that so far. Not a great season, but there are definitely some players, even like Taylor Hendricks, who I didn't even include on this list, that have potential to be really, really good for the Utah Jazz. And I kind of did an honorable mention. I know you guys are keyboard warrioring away in the comments, and speaking of Warriors, we have Brandon Podziemski. He kind of makes a honorary spot. I like him. I appreciate his game. I just don't think he's better than the rookies I just named. If you want to put him in over like Scoot Henderson, that's fine, but I'm just going to put him as like an honorable mention, kind of an asterisk. So let's get into the next category. Talked about that for a while, but category 7, we have Coach of the Year. We're getting into it. We're getting into some big time categories. And this year, I think there's about 5 coaches. There were a lot of surprising teams, a lot of great coaches this year in the NBA. 5 of them, I think, are very deserving of this award. We're first going to start with Tom Thibodeau of the New York Knicks. losing Julius Randle and finishing this and as the second seed in the East with teams like the Bucks in there. I think that's great. Obviously, he's had some crazy coaching decisions, playing guys like Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo the entire fucking game, giving Miles McBride extended minutes. He's taken risk, and it's super worth it. And he has worked OG Anunoby into their system pretty much flawlessly, like so smooth as well. And next, obviously, Mark Daigneault I think his name is, I don't know how to pronounce it, from the Oklahoma City Thunder. Going into the year, I had them as an 8 seed, and they completely exceeded expectations. They are sitting atop one of the best conferences we've seen in basketball in the last 5 years. I mean, my goodness, Mark Daigneault deserves so much credit. Speaking of another guy that shocked the world this year, sitting atop the West, we have Chris Finch of the Minnesota Timberwolves, a fantastic coach. It's so tough, having Rudy Gobert and Cat on the same starting lineup, but he makes it work. Obviously, I'm a little biased as a Celtics fan, but we're going to go with Joe Mazzulla. Yeah, the Celtics had some pretty high expectations coming into the season, but they still exceeded expectations somehow, which definitely goes a lot of credit towards Joe Mazzulla's way. And then someone that not a lot of people are talking about of the Orlando Magic, we have Jamal Mosley. You could say Rick Carlisle or whoever the Pacers coach is as well, but I definitely have Jamal Mosley up in there. I wouldn't say he's an official candidate, if I were to make a ballot, but he's definitely should get a mention. The Magic extremely exceeded expectations by probably about 10 games. I think, wow, this team is so fun to watch. It's going to be so fun to watch them in the playoffs. But, yeah, my coach of the year, though, is going to go to Mark Daigneault. I think a lot of people are going to be voting him as coach of the year. That is not surprising. What a year for the Thunder. Let's move on. Up next, the last one, before we get into the big stuff, our 8th category, I decided to put clutch player in there. I was thinking about not doing it, but there's a lot behind being a clutch player, and there's a lot of credit that should be given to these guys. And most of the guys on here, with the exception of one, aren't really up here for a big reward. We have DeMar DeRozan, clutch player of the year, DeMar DeRozan of the Chicago Bulls. We have De'Aaron Fox of the Sacramento Kings. Obviously, Shai Gilgeous is on here for all sorts of things. But of the Thunder, he's here, and then Steph Curry of the Warriors is up here. And I see a lot of people give this Steph Curry and De'Aaron Fox, but I'm going to give it to DeMar DeRozan. I think if there's one thing in DeMar DeRozan's game that he deserves credit for, it is his performance in the clutch. It is his game-winning shots, down to the wire. Who are you giving the ball to on the Bulls? If it's not DeMar DeRozan, you're not coaching the team right. And at times, I'm sure they've done that, and I'm sure Billy Donovan is completely screwed up as a coach, which is why they're 4 games under 500. But if there's one thing that you have to give credit to DeMar DeRozan for, it is playing the clutch. So shout out to DeMar DeRozan. He is my clutch player of the year. Now, this is the huge one. Getting into MVP, which is the 9th category, and we are going to end the video off with the All-NBA teams. I think everyone has the same 3 players in mind. I don't think, guys like Giannis, guys like Jason Tatum, guys like Jalen Brunson, guys like Sabonis are going to sneak into any MVP talks. Despite Giannis having one of the best games of his career. Everyone has Jokic, Luka, and Shai. That's not surprising. But the odds are saying that Jokic is going to win MVP. I don't agree with this. I mean, we're talking about a guy. And shout out to Luka, shout out to Jokic, absolutely fantastic seasons. We are talking about a guy that took, I mean, what were the Thunder last year? They were the bottom of the play-in. They went from that to being probably a top 2, top 3 team in the NBA. That is ridiculous, man. That's insane. They went from being a top 20 team in the NBA to a top 2 or 3. I don't think I've seen a jump like that out of a team in forever. And give credit to pretty much one man, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Obviously, they've drafted and they've built around him in a really good way. The Shai experiment has been great for the Thunder so far. But, dude, he is the huge, probably about 90% of the reason why they're this good. Obviously, in the years past, he has done stuff like this at this level, but now he's not, playing this good to get trade stock. He's not playing this good to stat pad. He's playing this good to win basketball games now, and there's a lot of value in that. Hence, why Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is my most valuable player, for sure, without a doubt. Let's move on to All-NBA. Moving on to the 10th and final category for the video, we are talking about all NBA. There are 3 teams, 5 players each. It's pretty much positionless. So let's just get into it, starting with my all NBA first team. And obviously, all the MVP candidates are making this as well. Jokic, Luka, and Shea for sure. Obviously, the other 2 spots are up to me now. And Brunson barely missed the cut. I have Giannis and Jason Tatum making the first team All-NBA. I think a lot of people's All-NBA looks very similar to that. Obviously, if Jokic was healthy this season, it would look a lot different. And I'm telling you that right now. I kind of forgot to mention that in the MVP talks. But without Jokic, I think it's pretty set in stone who's making All-NBA teams, who's being MVP candidates, because Embiid made it really interesting. But yeah, that's my first team. We have Jokic, Luka, Giannis, Tatum, and Shea. So yeah, my boy Tatum makes it up here for something. So let's move on to the second team. Again, I'm really sorry if I'm going quick through this, but my All-NBA second team, we are going to have Jalen Brunson of the New York Knicks, an outstanding season, he is debatably a top 5 player in the NBA. If you want to argue that right now, I'm perfectly fine with that. But I think the talent above him is just too good. I wanted to have some sort of reason to my positions. Obviously, there's some inconsistencies. But yeah, Jalen Brunson of the New York Knicks without a doubt. And then I have Anthony Edwards of the Minnesota Timberwolves. One of the best teams in the NBA, the best player on that team. Doesn't really need that much explanation. He did things this year that we never thought he could even do, even with as high of a ceiling as he had coming into the league. And then we have Kevin Durant of the Phoenix Suns. Even as far in his career as he is, Kevin Durant still being so consistent. My goodness. Shout out to Kevin Durant. We have Domantas Sabonis of the Sacramento Kings. One of the most underrated players in the entire NBA. I think he is debatably he is top 10 based on my list, but he definitely is top 10. He might even be top 6 or 7 up there. And then we have Anthony Davis of the Los Angeles Lakers. People tend to not give Anthony Davis as much credit as he deserves, man. And I'm not going to be pulling up stats in this video. I was thinking about doing that. But I just want to talk about, what I observed from these guys as players. But yeah, Anthony Davis is for sure on the All-NBA second team. He could be on the third if you wanted to, but I don't know who I would put over Anthony Davis right now. So yeah, that is my second team. We have Brunson, Anthony Edwards, KD, Sabonis, and AD. So let's move on to the third team and then wrap up the video. Getting on to the NBA, All-NBA third team, and this is the category that people tend to overlook. It seems like an honorable mention category, but it's still a category. People still get awarded. You're still considered All-NBA if you make this team. So let's get into it. Starting off with, from the Indiana Pacers, we have Tyrese Haliburton. Obviously, he's had some inconsistencies since All-Star break, but I think what he did before All-Star break and, kind of towards the end of the season is enough to get All-NBA, definitely at least consideration, but I am putting him on my All-NBA team. What a jump. You could debate he was one of the most improved. I think he was actually nominated for that last year, though, which is why he doesn't get candidacy for that, but yeah. Next, we have Devin Booker of the Phoenix Suns, one of the most under the radar, big names in the NBA. I think he had a hell of a season. Switching to the point guard, transitioning well, and the Suns having a really good season, avoiding the play-in, which was huge for them, and able to have a pretty favorable matchup with the Timberwolves in the first round. But yeah, Devin Booker. Then we have LeBron James of the Lakers, and honestly, a couple of these last picks are more like legacy picks. I feel like these are players that are kind of essential to making these sort of lists. But yeah, LeBron James, it's not just because he's LeBron James, and I talked about this in my All-Star video. I genuinely think LeBron James is All-NBA level. He is absolutely phenomenal. And a rookie, Victor Wembanyama. Yes, I said it. Victor Wembanyama is making my third team. I don't care what anyone says. He is making my third team. And then we have Steph Curry of the Warriors. Again, kind of a legacy pick. I was debating on putting maybe a guy like Damian Lillard or Karl Anthony Towns or Kawhi Leonard over him, and I probably should have and I could have, but it's Steph Curry. Given this current situation of the Warriors, especially after watching, and I'm not trying to use bias here, I completely made this list before the play-in games, especially watching how the Warriors crumbled in that play-in game earlier. I mean, yeah, I think he deserves flowers. I think he deserves credit for something this season, and I'm going to give him credit on the All-NBA third team. So that is going to do it for my categories. I don't really have much else to say. I'm going to like edit this, kind of have graphics a little bit. It's not going to look crazy. This video is not going to be crazy edited. I just kind of wanted to have a platform to give you guys my opinions on stuff. I think once like June hits around and the NBA playoffs and the finals are all over, we do like a top 100 NBA players. So we will definitely do that when it comes time. That'll be a fun video. That's always a fun video for me to make. But I am out, guys. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Sorry for a bit of a lack of an outro. It is what it is. I gotta get to bed here. Like, I should have went to bed like a half hour ago. But it is what it is. Obviously, throughout the playoffs, throughout the play-in, you guys are gonna... And the reason why I'm making this video is because they're literally announcing the award winners as I'm releasing this video. So... yeah, and obviously throughout the play-in, throughout the playoffs, you guys are going to get all sorts of recap content, so that'll be a fun time. I'm out, guys. Peace.